Hey fam, so I was going to just post a link for the book that we mentioned in this morning's meditation, but I thought it might be a little more informative and easier to convey why this book has been so instrumental, especially lately for Betty and I. And it's by Dr. Caroline Leaf, called Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess. This book, I'll read you a little excerpt that I read this morning that says why this is important. It has to do with reprogramming our mind and the thoughts that we have which might be toxic or holding us back from experiencing all that we wish to experience in life. It says, toxic thoughts have incorrectly folded proteins and an imbalanced electromagnetic and chemical flow with less oxygen and blood flow. They're unhealthy and can lead to inflammation in the brain, which can cause all sorts of issues. She's talking about a toxic thought. As she shows in this book, thought is actually a thing, a structure inside of the brain formed by dendrites and different synaptic connections. And when we have a toxic thought, and there's a neural net that's around that thought, it literally is a deformed structure of thought, which ends up obviously affecting the function of our brain. Now, what's fascinating about this book is that it's a 5-step process that is actually showing positive benefits in their experimental group. They've done a ton of research on this. It's all science-backed. It's all research-backed. It's all peer-reviewed. She's been doing this for 30-plus years. But what's fascinating is the amount of change that they're seeing and where they're seeing the change. So it's not just like a general change in mood, like, oh, people are feeling better, they're not feeling as depressed, whatever. They're seeing changes in the cellular level. They're seeing their telomere lengths lengthen. That literally means that by reducing toxic thoughts, you get younger. That's what lengthening telomeres length. So that's cellular. On the blood work level, they notice changes in drastic decreases in cortisol and homocysteine. Those are the two chemicals inside our body that are directly related to toxic stress, the type of stress that is damaging to the system. And it's not just like small amounts of change. The difference between the control group and the experiment group, where they had them doing the neurocycle, which is what her 5-step process is called, it's called neurocycling, an 80% reduction. That's huge. 80% reduction of cortisol and homocysteine, which are the two main toxic stress chemicals in the body. Beyond that, they found positive changes in all of their narrative tests. There's a bunch of psychological, psychiatric tests where people report their narrative, essentially. Quality of life, how they're feeling about this, that, or the other, how easy things are, on and on and on. And every single one of those narratives went drastically up using the neurocycle. Another one was their brain scans. So they're showing more brain coherence on the EEGs and the KEEGs. So by simply using this neurocycle, it's literally affecting so many levels of the body, and each one of those is adding to our health and our overall happiness. The 5 steps that she uses, I'll just go over them really quickly so you have an idea of like kind of how this works, is step 1, you'll gather information. Step 2, you'll reflect on it. Step 3, you'll write about it. Step 4, you'll recheck what you've written. And step 5, you'll do what's called an active reach, and you'll create an action to help develop this new thought process that you wish to have rather than the old one that's holding you back and creating toxic stress. And as an example, she says, you could write something down like this: when I experience the physical trigger of blank, I will tell myself blank and choose to feel blank. That's an example of what she comes to at the end of the process, and that would be her active reach, or that would be the action she's taking. Personally, I'll share one example of how this is working for me. We have a cat named Izzy. Izzy likes to be fed at 4:30 in the morning. And so she comes into our room and she starts meowing loudly to let you know that she is awake and she is ready to eat. So the first 2 weeks that she was exhibiting this behavior, because it's fairly new, it's only happened within the last few months, I would get so upset that she was waking me up out of my deep sleep and I was feeling so great, and now I have to get up and go feed her and this, that, and the other. And as I was neurocycling, and I was writing down, because I didn't want to feel angry every time she came into the room meowing. As I was writing it down, you start to see where the old thought is and where it's coming from, and you get a sense of what the trigger is. In this case, it's obvious, she's meowing. The trigger inside of me is anger. And then what I do each time I hear her voice now, when she comes into the room and starts meowing, is I use this active reach. And when I experience the physical trigger of anger inside of me, I tell myself, I love hearing the voice of my children. And then I choose to feel compassion, love, and peace. And so each and every time she comes into the room and she meows in the morning and she wakes me up, because I set this into action before it's happened, because I've gone through the neurocycle and I've decided and chosen what I wish to do each time this trigger happens, now it's like having the tool right at my fingertips or right at the tip of my tongue as soon as I hear her meowing come in the room. As soon as she comes in the room, she meows, it triggers the anger, but then the anger is slowly dying away as it immediately shifts to what I wish to feel and what I tell myself. It's really fascinating. It's been a fantastic book. If you check it out, on the back you've got all these raving reviews, and the testimonials inside are amazing. I really can't say enough positive about it. Highly recommended. Cleaning up your mental mess.